I was on Instagram and I saw I had a new message request. I checked my messages and I saw that I had somebody talking to me about Latisha. They told me that their cousin was a victim of Latisha, and this is a new victim that I have not heard about before. So they shared more information. They did want to stay anonymous, so I did cut out their profile picture and their username. But this is what they said. They said, "Hi Amber, I love your content. I live in Rock Island, Illinois from 2000 to 2018. I reach out for two reasons. Latisha Griffin stole my cousin's tax return in 2014 or 2015 after preparing and submitting her taxes. Next, Latisha owes several hundreds of thousands of dollars in back federal taxes and other financial judgments. I feel like if you can't even pay your own taxes, then you have no business doing somebody else's." And they explained that Keith also has significant debt. I tried to do a quick search before I did this video, but I literally only took like a minute or two looking into it and I couldn't find anything, but I don't think I was like on the right part of the website. So I'm going to try to dig more into the claim about Keith having debt later and see what I can find. But they said that their cousin, their tax return was for $12,800 and it was prepared by Latisha. And she's like, "Look, I own an accounting company. I can get you more money than other accounting firms." The cousin was like, "Bet." And this is something I've heard from other people too, that they went to Latisha because she's like, "Hey, I can get you more money than other people." But I'm sure she's probably bending some rules to be able to make that happen in the process. So the cousin went to Latisha and she's like, "Okay, so I don't have a checking or a savings account, so I need you to make sure I get my return through a check instead of doing an e-filing." And Latisha was like, "Okay, I got you." She had no problem waiting the extra time on a check due to the filing costs. But when she got the forms back, it showed that she was getting her refund deposited into a bank account, and it showed a routing and account number, and her cousin did not have a routing or account number. So she's like, "What the hell is this? This is suspect." And she immediately rushed down to the local IRS office. They met with a representative and they got lucky because the filing had not yet been submitted because it was either flagged or stopped. But so the cousin was able to talk to the representative and said, "Look, there's this accounting and routing number and I don't have a bank account. I wanted a check, so I don't know what this is all about." So they switched it up and actually made sure that they sent it through a check. They took out the accounting and routing number that Latisha put in there, and they did eventually get their check. But Latisha was very close to getting that check into whatever bank account that was listed there. And you know what this reminds me of? If you guys have been following me for a while, it was probably, I want to say like 9 months ago. It was like right before tax season started. Okay, so I went back and double checked. It was right at the end of January, and this girl wanted a advance on her tax refund. So she went to Latisha, and Latisha was like, "Okay, I got you." And this girl ends up getting her information afterwards, and she's like, "Okay, you're gonna get this money within the next day." I think she said it was gonna be like within hours or within the next day. And this girl specifically went to Latisha because Latisha promised her it would be taken care of, like, "Hey, you're gonna have your tax refund that day or within the next day." So she did it, and Latisha was like, "Okay, you got this money coming." And then next thing you know, this girl waits and a few days goes by. She still doesn't have her refund, and Latisha's like, "Oh, it's coming, it's coming." The girl keeps calling her bank because Latisha said, "Oh, they sent it, the wire's on its way." Well, Latisha, or this girl, would call her bank, and the bank said, "No, like if something was incoming, we would be able to see that, and there's nothing that's been sent this way." And Latisha just gave her the runaround. Like, here's a post from the girl. She said, "This stupid witch, steady making posts. You spent the money talking about deposit canceled. There was never a deposit, like what the F." And she noticed that there was something off, that she was not going to get her refund when she noticed that the accounting and routing number that Latisha had listed wasn't hers. And that's when she immediately had a bad feeling in her stomach. And next thing you know, she didn't get her refund. And she's like, damn. And she said, I talked to the bank personally, myself, with witnesses around and cameras stating you was swiping the card. Oh, yeah, that's another part. So they found out that the accounting and routing number that it was deposited into, I guess they went like spent the refund money at Walmart. They had several transactions at Walmart. I know they were talking about trying to get the camera footage from Walmart to see who was using the card. I don't know whatever happened with that. I do need to try to reach out to this girl and see if she's got an update. And then this is when Latisha was like, oh, y'all just wanted to make it on the blogs. Deposit canceled. Say sorry, witch. That NDA you signed, you finna pay for it. Kiss them refunds goodbye for the next few years. And this is when we found out that Latisha was making her recent tax clients sign an NDA. If you guys sign an NDA with someone to do your taxes, then that is a major red flag. I have a bunch of other tea on Latisha, but I'm going to save it for a separate video because it is so much. But let's talk about this last episode. I'm just going to speed through it with them, just because there's a few things that just blew my mind. So Latisha went with Keith's stepdad to go see a lawyer to see if she can get custody of one of Keith's sons, because I guess the mom lost custody from like a child neglect charge. And Latisha was like, okay, we want to give him a nice loving home. And the lawyer was like, well, I just got to be realistic with you. Keith just got done doing 11 years for drug charges. The judge is not going to be like, okay, let the kid go with this guy day one out of prison. He's going to have to take some time to prove himself, because he's not going to be no perfect little angel day one out of prison. And I don't really believe Keith is no perfect little angel, especially when he's messing with some scam artists like Latisha. Like, maybe she had one or two charges, maybe she's lying to him, and maybe he's just gullible. But after everything that's just happened, like, come on, dude, you're just as bad just being with somebody like that. But Latisha got mad because she wanted the lawyer to co-sign everything she was saying and just be like, oh yeah, let's just send the child day one to Keith and Latisha. And even Latisha's like, well, I am currently going to court for a theft charge, so hopefully that's not going to affect it. And you know what I don't like about the producers? Like, with a lot of charges, like if someone's arrested, sometimes they'll share like some minor details. Like, we'll see them like show like a arrest report, maybe highlight some specifics, or they'll explain what happened. But it seems like they gloss over what Latisha did with her theft charge. They just say, oh, it's a theft charge, and they don't dig into it any deeper, or they don't show like any details up on the screen like they've done with other people's stories. Like, for real, they could have a juicy ass season if they actually like went down the lane of covering all her freaking thefts and everything she's done in detail. But they just take her word, like when she says, oh, I'm innocent, and just keep it moving. And I don't think it's fair. I feel like they're protecting her by doing that. It's like, hell, they're here to tell their freaking story. There's so much news coverage that they've had at this point, local news coverage, different articles and everything. There's plenty of stuff that they could show to explain what happened outside of just Latisha's narrative. But I don't know, they're just letting her run with her narrative, I guess. Latisha was pissed off after they learned that it was going to be a little harder to get Keith's son than they thought. And this is what I want to know. Okay, you're trying to get the son, but what's going to happen if Latisha goes to jail? Like, I would be waiting to get all my legal issues figured out before I try to get custody of an additional child. Latisha leaves the lawyer's office, and then later that night, she's sitting there baking with her daughter, and her daughter's like 5-6 years old, and her daughter has never known her biological dad. I guess Latisha claims he has never wanted to be in her life. So Latisha introduced her to Keith, and she's like, yeah, this is my man. And I guess, according to Latisha, she said her daughter just started calling him dad out of nowhere. She just felt like it was natural. The then somehow something gets brought up about biological dads, and the daughter was like, yeah, he's my biological dad. And Latisha looked at her and then looked at the camera, and she's like, no, honey, he's not your biological dad. He's your dad. He's just not your biological dad. I don't even think this girl knows what biological means at this point. You can't tell me that this girl has been thinking this whole time Keith is her biological dad. That's actually really sad. But I'm convinced that this whole time Latisha has probably been telling her, yeah, that's your biological dad. That's your biological dad. Because the way Latisha reacted, it seemed like she was like, damn. Like, she's probably telling her behind the scenes all the time, yeah, that's your biological dad. And then when she brought it up in front of the cameras, Latisha was like, damn, I can't keep lying to her. So she's like, no, actually he isn't. She knew she couldn't lie in front of the cameras. So she sat there and was like, oh, no, he isn't. And the daughter was all sorts of confused. This was news to her. And then I wouldn't be surprised if the oldest daughter, because she looks like she is sick of Latisha's shit. I wouldn't be surprised if the oldest daughter probably knows this, and she's probably like, yeah, here's Latisha trying to convince my younger sister Keith's her daddy. This is ridiculous. And that's probably another reason why the teenager don't want to be involved. She said that her daughter is like at that teenage phase, so she's not really too excited. And I mean, I wouldn't either. If I was sitting there living with my mom's like, hey, this guy that's been in prison for 11 years is gonna get out, move into our house, I would be feeling some type of way too. Plus, Latisha's out here thinking all this scamming is cute, and that's gonna be hard on her daughter as a teenager. You know, people get to talking, especially with Latisha on the local news all the time, and you gotta be like, yeah, that's my mom. Oh, I feel for her. I feel for her kids. But that's it for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think about everything in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.